I think on the back of that we've seen prosperity that we haven't seen most probably since the 60s, and certainly over a consistent basis. So inevitably you will see this continuing rise in something, and it happens to be in houses. But that doesn't mean that that's going to last forever. In fact, I used to work for a guy who used to say to me, whenever we used to talk about the good times, he said, well, what makes you think the good times aren't already here? And I just see that there will be, and has to be, a reorganisation of housing values, and it may well be uncomfortable for a lot of people. But to me, it's just an inevitability. It's just waiting away.
Yes, it's got a ring about it. It's like tidal waters, isn't it? It's coming in and washing back out again. You can only stand and watch it. You can't influence it.
It's nothing other than a commodity, and commodities affected on a world market will shift from time to time. And unfortunately, not all shifts are nice. And a lot of people have earned a lot of money out of housing, and that's great. But in doing so, in getting involved in this, people just have to understand that there will be a realignment.
Thanks very much, Paul. Call us again. I'm Mike Allen. This is talkSPORT.
talkSPORT Traffic and Travel.
Bringing us up to date is Mary with the current situation this morning. Hello, Mary. What is happening?
Well, in Cheshire on the northbound M6, the road is closed off due to a police incident between junction 20 at the Limb Interchange and 21 at Woolston, and it's been closed since 4 a.m. this morning. Into Greater Manchester on the A56 Deansgate, that's closed off due to a serious fire in both directions between Whitmore Street West and Deansgate. And on the southbound M6 through Staffordshire, there's a lane blocked off due to a broken down vehicle between Stafford South at junction 13 and Gailey at junction 12 at the A5. Heading into Berkshire on the eastbound M4, watch out for a lane closure. It's on the entry slip road due to a car fire at junction 12 heading into Reading. And in Dorset and Herne, the A338 southbound's closed due to a serious crash between the Blackwater junction and Castle Lane West at the Cooperdene roundabout. Mary Jacobs, talkSPORT Traffic and Travel.
talkSPORT Traffic and Travel.
talkSPORT.
The radio station for men who do it themselves.
What?
talkSPORT.
There we are. I knew that microphone was somewhere around here. Right. We were talking about earlier on this morning, if you just started the day, you might be interested to know, we were talking about peak travelling times on motorways and the initiative, maybe we should say the idea to consider the hard shoulder being used as a fourth or alternate lane for traffic in peak conditions. And as I mentioned earlier on this morning, this might, on the face of it, be the perfect solution. But you have to remember that it takes away the emergency services access, and that are not just ambulances and the cops, but also the people who get the car started again if it coughs up, or maybe you've got a puncture and you can't find the jack, or maybe you, especially with a certain French make of car, you get a puncture and you go to the little cage that sits beneath the trunk and somebody's nicked the tyre. Oh no. So how safe do we feel going to work this morning with the thought that as the traffic thickens up, if the planners have their way, the hard shoulder could become an emergency lane? I have to ask you to think about that, because it does put vehicles that have broken down in a very risky place. The current thinking, if we do get into a situation where we pull off the motorway and park on the hard shoulder because the vehicle has broken down, is to get out of that. Can I say, get out of the car. Don't even think about staying in the car. Get out of the car and climb up the grassy bank. Get away from the car. Now, this all starts to have the smell of failure about it. I'd like to know what your thoughts are. If you're, and this is interesting, we get a lot of drivers phoning this time in the morning. The number is 08704 20 20 20. You've got your earpiece in, you know you can do it. Barry's in Thirsk. Hello, Barry, welcome to talkSPORT.
Morning, Mike. It's about 10 years since I last spoke to you. Last time I spoke to you, I was painting the landings, apple mint. It was when you were on a Saturday night, do you remember?
Oh, apple mint. What a lovely colour.
Yes, the whole place is almost apple mint. I think I'm getting...
Is
like
it
living in a jungle.
Yeah, every room, surely
Right,
not.
actually. Quite a few rooms are.
But the nice thing about it, it's a fresh colour.
Yes.
And in Thirsk, you get a very clear light, don't you? Natural daylight.
You're making it sound like the south of France, you know.
No, but you do.
The Impressionist talk.
Well, I tell you something. I used to go out with an artist, and she was from Austria.
Right.
And she was telling me that the British Isles has a general quality of special light for a painter.
That's why we're famous for watercolour artists.
Yes, and it's solely because we're surrounded by water.
Yes, you could be right.
But where you are, of course, you're a long way away from heavy pollution, so
you're right. Thank goodness.
You're getting a clean light, and it will have that soft edge, but
God's
still have
country
good
is this.
definition.
More acres in Yorkshire than words in the Bible, so they reckon.
That must be right.
No, that's true. I'm an atheist. But beautiful countryside up here, the Yorkshire Moors, Yorkshire Dales. But having said that, on about that, there's a shortage of tourists. Now, I know because I'm connected in one of my business with the tourist industry, and I can see it. So you're talking about Gordon Brown, getting back this is why I phoned, about housing, etc., etc. A lot of people come up here to retire from the south, etc. Push prices up beyond any capabilities of any young people to purchase. It's almost impossible. But Gordon Brown quoting himself as being the one, and everyone else quoting him as the most successful chancellor in history is a load of rollicks, absolute garbage. Now, I've been in business for over 40 years, and I can see it. I know if I speak to other people with businesses in the town, I can see it everywhere. I read the financial pages of all the quality newspapers. You can see, you can sense it, you can feel it. We're going down the tube. Prices are spiraling out of control in property, and it's going to implode upon itself. We've got this mass immigration into the country, which is putting huge strains on the housing, etc. We're not building as much, and you can't possibly, it's such a small country, like lots of other people have said, you cannot allow this mass immigration. It's putting strains upon the health service, the education system, every which system. You're on about the roads. We take about £42 billion, or we screw the motors with about £42 billion, spend about £6 billion on the roads. We keep in the military in all shortages of everything. The numbers are dropping. We're committed all around the world. It's causing huge social problems amongst the families of the military. They shouldn't be in these different theatres of war so regularly. They need rest from it, but they're not getting it. It's an absolute disgrace. This government is the worst ever.
You know, on that subject of the armed forces...
I'd like to say about the health service, if you can just remind me about PFIs.
I know, I'll come right back to that. I was just going to say, what a revelation it was to discover yesterday that the armed forces are paid, was it £2.50 an hour?
That's absolutely, well, I spent 5 years in the military, and we had to pay out for stuff then, and that was back in the 60s, and I spent 2 years in the Far East when it was confrontational with Indonesia. As soon as we got out there, we bought our own uniforms. What we were wearing was a garbage Second World War khaki rubbish.
What, in that climate?
Dead in. Sorry?
Wearing that heavy surge in that climate?
Oh, it was dread. Well, I was in the Air Force, and the first thing you did when you got to the Far East, you went down to the village in Changi village to local tailors, and you got yourself an outfit which was very smart. And, very light and, really looked good. That was the first thing you did when you got over there. That's what everybody did, and you junked the outfit we were issued with. But, that was just one aspect, it's the same through everything.
Do you still have a uniform hanging in the back cupboard somewhere?
I probably still have somewhere, actually. I don't think I have, because, we're so light and comfortable. The shorts and the short sleeve shirt, and they didn't look like military. They weren't the colour of a military outfit anyway. You could use it for civilian use. It would, fitted in. I'm quite sure I still have it somewhere. I came out on March of 1666.
Did you?
Yeah, so only seems like yesterday, I'll tell you. But that was good. Everyone should go in the military. I firmly believe that. I do. But I'm getting off the track here. We're on about this, about what's happening.
Yeah.
Where we should be, putting up interest rates, etc. Because we're in meltdown financially. Everyone's seriously overstretched financially. Everyone wants now. They're encouraged by this government to want everything that's being produced, to want it now. We're over £1 trillion in debt. I'm not. I don't want to get in debt. You know, I was brought up in the age where you're saved up for stuff. But this is the reality. You look throughout Europe, there's, about 10% unemployment. We're told here that there isn't. But Gordon Brown and this government is forcing this here. We've got, actually, the figures of the unemployment are hidden. We've got 2.7 million people who are on disability benefits. A lot of them are...
And 45% of the workforce is alleged to be being on the government payroll.
Well, of course they are, yeah. It's nonsense. So they've got an interest to perhaps vote this government in because they give them more money. And don't forget where this government capitulated on, on government employees. Well, like local government workers and everybody who's involved getting paid by the government, they forced them, the employees were going to go on strike if they didn't continue to retire at 60. Well, it's a nonsense, isn't it? People are living longer. God, I'm going to live, I'm not going to live forever, I hope I do. No. I'm going to always work, you see, because I've always enjoyed working for myself, and I'll be 67 today.
Are you?
Yeah, I am actually. Yeah, today, 12th of September. Yes.
Happy birthday!
Yeah, and I'm still. I work over 100 hours a week.
Well, I tell you something, Barry. There's
I want to say about PFIs. Anyway.
Oh, well, okay.
I want to say so much.
Yeah, well, I know, but I've only got so much time.
I know.
I have personal experience of people happily employed, and then are offered early retirement. And suddenly they drop down, stone cold dead from whatever.
You fall off the human conveyor belt. We're all on this human conveyor belt of life.
Take away the parameters, and then people just don't have any safe places to go. It's like
no motivation. You've got to be motivated. I'm a highly motivated person, always have been. I love what I do. I work every day. I'm on the go from between 5 and 6 every morning till after midnight. I mean, I'm not making this. It's absolutely true. I'm a human dynamo, but I want to get on about PFIs. I've got time.
Give me a PFI story and try and keep it as crisp as you can.
Right, okay. Well, I was talking to a guy recently. He's quite high up in the health service, and he was telling me all about it. That this government, and it's also in the newspaper, this government is committed to borrowing finance, from these big companies. So they build it, the hospitals, the schools, and they're going to be building the roads. They fund it all. Then you and I, as taxpayers, fund it, and they screw up the style. Like there's a school in Newcastle. It was only open 2 years, and it's closed. But these PFIs, they've got all the contracts for the cleaning, for the meals, etc. They continue to pay. I think it's £50,000. It closed after 2 years. This school, and so they're paying about the taxpayers paying and the ratepayer £50,000 a month to pay for cleaners, for those who make the meals, etc., and the general running and maintenance of a school that nobody goes to, nobody uses every month for these contractors that don't do any work there. And they're going to be doing this for the next 30, 35 years. In the hospital, the funding of that. It's the same with that. They can't afford to employ top surgeons, etc., because of the managers that are employed by the PFI funding. So anything that needs doing at all, has to go through these PFIs. They're screwed, they're snookered, and this is what this government's done. It's all the health services hide-bound by this deep financial debt, and they can't do it. There was a program on the television a few weeks ago, and there was a headmistress. It was about this PFI funding, and there was a headmistress there. She wanted to do something in one of the classes, and she got an estimate from a building firm, and it was going to cost about £18,000. Now, the PFI who were running her school...
reminds the listeners what PFI stands for.
PFI, institutions. I think that's what it means. They fund it. So the government approaches, and these like big private, I don't know who they are, because this one of the guys, one of the main characters in all this PFI funding, was from South Africa, and he's got hundreds of these contracts of these sewn up around the country, schools, hospitals, and they're on about road funding, etc.
So Barry, just
charge for, and so now, where this school, this headmistress was saying she wanted to do some alterations, she wasn't allowed to do it without the PFI taking a cut. So what was a quote from a local builder as £18,000 ended up as £36,000, and just to even put in an electrical plug was going to cost £400. £100.
Yes, public finance initiative. Barry, I've got to go. I'm going to speak to Rosalind next, and we might be talking to Mike and Paul. You're listening to talkSPORT. The number, 08704 20 20 20. Don't forget Alan Brazil's Sports Breakfast at 6 o'clock. Yes, it's worth getting up early for, isn't it?
Click talksport.net now.
And while you're there, may we suggest you purchase some consumables from the talkSPORT shop?
No need to visit that smelly, unfriendly corner shop ever again. Click talksport.net for all your bloke-type requirements. And that emergency pint of milk. Clickety-click, tickety-talksport.net. Upon delivery, actual milk may be off.
On 1089 and 1053 AM and DAB Digital Radio. talkSPORT.
If I had a voice like that, I wouldn't have to wear these socks. Many thanks to Michael who sent me an email. He said, before you purists get in and say the upgrade to Star Trek, where the exterior image shots have been assisted by contemporary computer-generated images. Michael goes on to say, I don't feel it will, as you mentioned, in the 60s, affect the way people respond. But before the purists get involved, let me just say this. An upgrade such as this will breathe new life into a series that, if you look beyond the concept, highlights so many of today's evils. It will also make it more attractive to the youngsters who would simply lose interest in the first sight of rickety special effects. I think that's probably true, Michael, actually. Great thing is it's, I think being shown in America now, I know, but, you know, Captain Tiberius and all that, whatever his name was, I can't remember. Captain Kirk, wasn't it? That's right. But there was something about them. And there were little stories each episode, little homilies, you know? I thought it was very interesting, very clever, actually. I've been doing a little bit of numerology. I think that the number we were looking for is 11, but I'm going to save all that for my numerology specialist, who's coming in on Thursday morning. Yes, be here at 1 o'clock. You'll want to talk to him about things, won't you? Hello, Rosalind.
Oh, good evening, Mike.
Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning to you. It's a pleasure to hear you on the air.
Oh, well, thank you.
Makes a lovely change from Mike Mendes.
Oh, no, come on, don't say that.
I hope he's having a nice holiday.
Who, Ian?
Oh, yes.
Yes,
yeah.
I think he's having a nice time.
Yeah, I hope they're having a nice time, him and Jessie.
He's one of the nicest people you can meet, you know.
He is, indeed. It's a pleasure to talk to you, and a great show that you just put on about cars from Jason Dorr. It's really interesting. I did miss some of it because I was half asleep at the time. From a woman's point of view, I think it's great that we're being informed about what cars to buy, you know. There's great bargains on these second-hand cars. I mean, I thought that I learned something tonight, that not all these second-hand cars have bad emissions and all that sort of thing. So it's really good, because my girlfriend wants to buy a car, and we were just talking about it yesterday. I purchased a car myself. It's the VW Urban Fox, which is the cheapest car in the country, apparently, $6,250. And, you know, I'm very pleased with it. And also regarding house prices, I'm very perturbed by what you said.
Say that again?
I was very perturbed by what you said about house prices.
Oh, yeah, it's very interesting that yesterday there was a story on the front page of I think it was the Mail and the Express, about a television personality, and it was as if they'd been written by the same person. It had the same quotes in almost the same place throughout the story, and the chances of that being a coincidence are so high, I can't even get beyond that. And today, they both carry, the Mail and the Express, they both carry the same story of house prices doubling.
Yes, that's really frightening, because all the young people and everybody's encouraged to buy, you know, and we have all these advanced technology coming to the country, like new rail links. It's pushing prices up. They're saying there's going to be more employment around, and then you saying that Wall Street might fall, or the other chap said.
Well, they're
it's
talking...
very scary.
I mean, America's a slightly different position to us, because it's my understanding that home ownership is perhaps denser in this country than it is there. But then don't forget they are in a situation where they're funding a huge cost to run this war against terror in the Middle East.
Yes.
And no one's quite sure how it will resolve, and or if it ever will in our lifetime. So there is a big question mark over everything. And then, you know how it is, Rosalind, you go to a dinner party or you meet people for a drink and they say, oh, here's a friend of ours, and you meet this person, and they could just be a damp cloth, you know, they could just talk down whatever you get pleased and positive about. They'll find... They just they deconstruct it like bricks. And I think they just have a great pleasure in being, how can I put it? Yeah, simply put, negative.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Mike. It's been great.
I haven't done anything, but have a nice time talking to you. So maybe you'll call me tomorrow.
I will, and I'm looking forward to Thursday about your numerology. That was very interesting, because I was half asleep yet again on that, and I didn't quite get all of it.
I do my best work when people are half asleep.
Well, that's wonderful, and God bless to you.
Thank you. talkSPORT, and it's going to be a busy breakfast with Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast. Graham Beecroft's going to be with Alan, and everyone's going to be talking about the former cricket captain... the former England cricket manager, Mickey Stewart, about whom England should be taking on the Ashes tour. Because there's a zillion options available to us, isn't there? Like it's two. Right. So no doubt you'll be reaching for the phone. 08704 20 20 20, or text to 81089. I was something really strange happened on my mobile phone the other day. A friend of mine sent me a little message, little text. And I opened it up, and it was moving left to right across the screen, and then it started to go up and down. I've never seen that before. If you know what that's about, do you think I've got a virus? Could I get a virus in a mobile phone? You could do, I suppose. In theory, it could happen. 08704 20 20 20. Johnny, are we going to do anything with that other call? It's gone a bit quiet here. It's gone a bit quiet. I don't know if we got room to get this story off the ground.
Sorry, I had Barry on the phone again.
Oh, Barry again?
Yeah, he was still going at it.
Oh.
He's like an express train.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't spend any more time with him because we had this commercial break and that, and I think we've got one coming up, haven't we, in a minute?
We've got some travel coming up in a couple of minutes.
Okay. You know that part of the Kent coast that's been not as spectacular in property appreciation as we might have hoped?
Yes.
Margate and Dover. And well, with this new channel link at high speed, they reckon that could be the most quickly appreciating area and property within the next few months, simply because you can live quite a fair distance away, but you have the advantage of being able to do it on a fast train, and it doesn't take anywhere near as long. So it's like I might be slightly wrong on this, but it's about a 1 hour commute. Now that's acceptable. That's London to Brighton, isn't it?
Yeah.
So for the people who live in Kent, to be able to travel that extra distance at the same time...
1 hour is like one half of London to the other on the tube, so...
Oh, yeah. Well, the local tube here is Waterloo, isn't it?
Yeah.
I got lost there the other day. Genuinely. Hello, Graham.
Hello, Mike.
How are you?
I'm all right.
I haven't seen you forever.
Well, that's because you've not been here for a long time.
That's true. But I had a nice time in Hawaii.
Did you? Excellent stuff. Good.
What you got lined up for us this morning?
Well, we've got plenty lined up. We've already spoken from Alan. He's enjoying the show, by the way. We're going to be talking the Ashes, of course, because it looks as though Freddie Flintoff is going to be the captain of the England team to go down under and defend the Ashes when we go down there. And we're going to be talking to Mickey Stewart, former England manager, of course, Test player himself, of course, his son, former Test player as well. And we're going to be talking to Mickey. We're also going to be going down under to speak to SEN down down there in Melbourne to see what they make of Freddie Flintoff's inclusion as the captain of the England team, if that is confirmed today, but we think it is. And so we're going to be looking at it from their perspective as well. Interesting that Sven-Göran Eriksson has decided to pull out of a World Cup symposium because of the fact that he has been getting a bit of stick as the England manager now. All very interesting. That we're going to be talking to Andy Warshaw, who's over there, and Andrew will be on the inside looking out, so to speak, so he'll be giving us the very latest on that. We'll be checking on last night's football. Good win for Reading at home to Manchester City. And an interesting story, here's one for you as well, that Chesterfield, who studied quite well under Roy McFarland in Division 1, he has enrolled the whole team on a course for cooking healthy meals.
No.
Are you a healthy meal man, Mike?
Look at me, I'm a stripe, looking for somewhere to get stuck next to.
Well, this is why I'm asking, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah, well...
What's your normal consumption per day?
Of what?
Food.
Oh, I don't eat much at all.
Don't you? No. Alcohol?
Yeah, I have a glass of wine.
Yeah?
Yeah.
A glass of wine and no food?
Yeah, well, I eat more if I'm run.
You run?
Yeah.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Yeah? Are you a marathon man?
No. I get a bit bored, actually, because it really makes your knees hurt.
Well, I'm sure it does, yeah.
Yeah, I did my knees in, actually, running on hard roads.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to only run on grass now.
All right, I see.
Yeah, so I do that. And I porridge for breakfast.
Porridge for breakfast, right.
Which is very good.
Yes.
And,
glass of red wine with the porridge?
No. A large scotch.
A large scotch. So there's porridge for anything else apart from porridge?
Yeah, I sometimes salads, something.
For breakfast?
No,
right.
Just porridge.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can remember about 15 years ago.
Yes.
And I was working so hard, I really didn't have time to think about food, I was going from one thing to the other, to the other, to the other. And I was very happy.
Yeah.
And I'm just about 5 pounds away from that as a target weight now.
Right.
So I'm going to get it right.
Will you be overjoyed when you reach that target weight?
Oh, I should be auctioning off my belt. And just say, I made that last half inch with a vengeance.
Very good.
What about you? Are you a big breakfast chap?
I do love my breakfast, although having said that, of course, when you're down here, not always so easy to get what you might call a balanced breakfast, because I do like some grapefruit sometimes with the breakfast, but I do enjoy every now and again a nice cooked breakfast, an English breakfast. I'd say not too much of it, not piled high, not a beans fan, but I am a breakfast fan, very much so.
Yeah. It's quite nice.
I think it's one of the most important meals of the day. It sets you up, doesn't it, for the day,
And you've got the day's activity to help burn off any fat.
Yeah. It is, of course, breaking of the fast. We're breaking the fast that we have overnight, and that's why I think breakfast is good and healthy for you.
Well, going back a few hundred years, they used to break the fast with a big hunk of meat, didn't they? A leg of lamb or something like that.
Doesn't surprise me.
Those boys had a couple of beers. They weren't having an all bad time.
No, that's right. Good enough. So there we are. That's the Sports Breakfast, the Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast, coming up 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. this morning. Lots to look forward to.
Thanks so much, Graham. Okay, let's check up on the traffic, see what's happening with Mary. Travel and traffic? Mary, you've got some news for me.
talkSPORT Traffic and Travel.
I have indeed. Northbound on the M6 in Cheshire, that's closed off still due to a police incident between junction 20 at the Lim interchange and 21 at Woolston. The diversion there via the A50 to Warrington and the A57 back to junction 21. Into Greater Manchester and Rusholme on Deansgate, the A56, that's also closed due to a serious fire between Whitmore Street West and Deansgate. And if you're out and about in Suffolk and Woolpit, the westbound A14 has a lane closure due to an earlier crash. Barrier repair work now taking place at Woolpit at junction 47. Now, heading further southwards into Dorset in Herne, southbound on the A338, I'm afraid that's still closed off due to a serious crash between the Blackwater junction and the Cooperdene roundabout at Castle Lane West. Mary Jacobs, talkSPORT, Traffic and Travel.
talkSPORT Traffic and Travel.
Bizarrely, I'm happy to mention, because John said to me there's a lot of large spiders around this time of year, and is it because of global warming, or is it something other reason? Keith got in touch. He says the big spiders are doing my head in. They always come indoors at this time of year. The end of the mushroom season is the beginning of the spider season. Did you know that? Did you know that, John?
I don't know if they're in any way connected.
I had some mushrooms last night.
Maybe spiders they like mushrooms so much that when there are no mushrooms around, then they feel very depressed and have to go inside.
That was an extraordinary string of facts you had to hand about the 5 different types of thread that come from a spider, or 3
I think
or 4.
it's something like that, 4 or 5, and then they use different ones for different parts of the web, yeah.
They're very industrious. I mean, they do something very complicated just in a small space of time, because I took the car out the other day, showed it the sunlight just to let it know.
Yeah.
And there was this huge spider's web across the corner of the upright on the left-hand side of the garage and the cross member. And as I opened the door, it broke the web.
Yeah.
So when I came back, after a few hours, the web was nearly fully constructed again.
That's amazing. What I want to know is why are all spiders' webs the same? Doesn't matter where in the world you go. They're always kind of the same shape and pattern. Apart from funnel web spiders, obviously, hence why they have the name.
Yeah, it's interesting that, isn't it?
How do they know?
And how do dogs know to come up to me and bark?
That's true, yeah.
And there's nobody else in the park, and they come up and bark at you. It's very strange. Are you vulnerable to that? Do you find that? It's almost an aspect of... You've got a little invisible sign that only animals can see. I don't like
Animals
dogs.
can read auras, that's what it is.
Yeah, I'm sure you're right. I was listening to a guy talking about numerology, and I was absolutely sure that N isn't worth 6.
I'm very confused because I've worked it out 3 or 4 times and I keep coming up with a different number.
Well, the number I've come up, my latest finding is 11.
Okay, so that would be 2 then.
Yeah, but in numerology there's 2 or 3 higher numbers, and one of them is 11. It's the sign of the teacher.
Okay.
So people who have 11 in their chart are quite good at passing on knowledge. I wonder if that would apply